That's how they're getting control. They're thinking that they might move out to the rural areas, then the regulations are crunching down on the rural areas too.
The light rail system is implemented here. What they plan to do is this. They're going to raise your sales tax 1%.
I don't think any bus service is doing that right now.
Stop this, fight this.
It came on my email about a tax that the UN is trying to put on us.
That the president signs on to a treaty has to be ratified by the Senate. So you have to contact the Senate.
You said that they're going to take over all our government.
And that's why all this stuff is government growth.
That's
All of
right.
it.
That's very
We have to resist it, because all we're going to do is lose control and pay more taxes.
No symbols for the freedom that we stand here tonight and want. I came from Clearwater because I'm interested in this.
All of the all Tea Party people stand up over here.
So there's a growth
We
right
are the
there.
Tea Party.
Jim Lampe for Agenda 21 program.
I'd like to thank Gail and the St. Petersburg Republican Club for the invite, and I'd like to thank my fellow members at South Pinellas and Culver for showing up. Thank you. I'm just going to go through a general briefing of Agenda 21. It's a fairly significant document, so I'm just going to be touching the bases to give you the general information on it. What is Agenda 21? This is what I'm going to go through tonight. How is it implemented? I'm going to give you some examples of Agenda 21 at the federal level, state level, and local level. And interesting how it's funded. You'll be interested in that. And at the end, we'll have questions. If I don't know the answer to the question, I'll get you an answer at the end. What is Agenda 21? This is a quote from the guy that wrote it. To save the planet, we must destroy capitalism. This is the UN page for Agenda 21, and this is how they describe it: a comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally. It's a global plan to take over the world, period. The Agenda 21 impacts every area of life that there is. There's a chapter for anything: biodiversity, vacations, roads, you name it, they got it. These are the chapters, there's 40 of them. Some of the ones I'm going to focus on tonight are biodiversity and transportation. Okay, the purpose of Agenda 21 is the redistribution of our wealth to other nations. They're using sustainability and global warming to do that. This quote, sustainability, means running the global environment like Earth, like the corporation. That comes from the same guy, and the United States is the profit center. So they're going to run it and take our money out. The same guy, Maurice Strong, who wrote all this stuff, this is his quote for a fossil fuel tax, a toll on petroleum whereby 2 cents per barrel would be charged. You think Al Gore was the first one to propose a fuel tax? This guy wrote that in 1973. They've been planning this for a long, long time. This is what the Maurice Strong said. He was the Secretary General at Rio in 1992. The lifestyles and consumption patterns of the affluent middle class, involving high meat consumption and large amounts of frozen and convenience foods, use of fossil fuels, appliances, home and workplace air conditioning, and suburban housing are not sustainable. Your life is not sustainable. They want to cut your life down, take your energy away, and put you in a little apartment. That's what this is all about. What is sustainability? This was the definition in 1987. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations. It's essential. The essential needs of the world's poor are the overriding priority. And in 2009, we got a new definition from Obama. Sustainability means to create and maintain conditions under which humans and nature can exist in harmony. that permit fulfilling the social, economic, and other requirements of the present and future generations. It's really general because it's going to mean whatever they want it to mean. And here's one of the ways it was implemented.
For ourselves and for future generations, a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, we will. We have a real chance in this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN standards.
So that was Bush right before he went into Iraq in 1991. I remember him saying that, but I don't remember anything about the New World Order being what it is today. After he came in, Clinton came in and created the Sustainable Development, President's Council on Sustainable Development. Their job was to make sure Agenda 21 was into every federal agency. This is the actual Federal Register from 1998. The Federal Register is printed every day. It contains the new laws that Congress passes. And this one says, Sustainable Development Challenge Grant Program is a step in implementing Agenda 21. So since 1998 or thereabouts, it's been in our government. All agencies are putting it, and all agencies are pushing it. I'm going to give you some brief examples now of Agenda 21 projects. First, obvious one, global warming, political tool. And in the Agenda 21 meeting they had in Rio in 1992 that Bush #1 agreed to, this was the principle that they used for global warming. Where there are threats of serious or irreversible damage, lack of full scientific certainty shall not be used as a reason for postponing cost-effective measures to prevent environmental degradation. So what they're saying is, we don't need proof. If we think there's a problem, we're going to move. So sustainability means whatever they say it means, and they don't need any proof to do anything. So they're just rolling ahead with it. This is an interesting quote. In 2010, there was a German magazine that interviewed this UN economist, and he said that clearly the global warming is a redistribution of the world's wealth by climate policy. It didn't get much play because it was in German, and two, after it came out, they took it down from the website. That is a fact. It's redistribution. This is a petition signed by 31,000 American scientists that oppose the Kyoto Treaty that we never hear about. How's that? One of the chapters they had up here was biodiversity, and this was a shocker when I read it. But there's a thing called wildways. If you look at this map, they want to clear all the people out of those directions and save those for animals. And they're doing it. It's called Biodiversity and Wildlands Project, and they're using endangered species to help push people out of the way. Biodiversity is Florida Forever. That's the program. If you look at this map, all these blocks are sections bought by the government. They're bought by different government agencies. If you look at the red sections, they're owned by the Florida Department of Land. The other sections are owned by Fish and Wildlife. If you go to their site and look at this, you can't put the picture together because there's no sequential order of land purchases. But they're coordinating the land purchases so that it looks just like that, with the arrow coming right through Central Florida. And that's what they're building. And you can see the part of it right there. That little stretch is all put together in land. The theory of communism may be summed up in one sentence: abolish all private property. This is a map, a bigger map of the same land blocks owned by the state. 30% of Florida is owned by the government, and they're still buying more. The next example is a local example, light rail. This is Agenda 21, Chapter 7, where it says promoting sustainable human settlement development. In UN language, a human development is our cities. And if you look at the section, second paragraph there, B, it says adopt urban transport programs favoring high occupancy public transport, light rail. That's why we say no to light rail in Pinellas. It's Agenda 21, pure and simple. And Scott was good. It was a good thing for Scott to reject the high-speed rail, because that's all it is. And you can see the high-speed rail was going right through the middle of Florida, where the Florida Forever and the Biodiversity Program was. Another thing on the Florida Forever and Biodiversity Program, you may not know it, but they have plans to reintroduce wolves. Florida panther is actually 50%, it's a hybrid. They brought in panthers from Texas. They're not even purebred cougars. This interesting thing, how would you think that UN policies would be funded? This is a little bit complicated here, but this is at the federal level. These are the reds are all the departments, and these are all the policies coming out of the departments. Congress is funding the EPA. The EPA is funding all these agencies. These agencies are funding these policies. And the Department of Energy is the other one. But the EPA is undoubtedly the biggest one. And the EPA is signing deals with other countries for some reason. They have agreements with China, European Union, and a couple other countries in there. Here, ICLEI, this organization here, ICLEI, is the training arm of the UN. They train people in organizations on how to implement Agenda 21. And you can see this page from South Asia, and here the EPA is their partner. This is another page where we have ICLEI support, we have HUD, DOT, and the EPA giving partnership grants to the UN. If that's not treason, I don't know what is. They're supporting and giving grants to an organization that's implementing a global policy. They want to take our stuff, and our agencies are supporting it. This is a map of the ICLEI cities. They have an interesting marketing program. It's an excellent marketing program. They have all these cities are paying ICLEI to implement UN policies. Hard to believe, but true. Pinellas County was in this. They were paying $4,500 a year, Pinellas County, to belong to this organization to implement UN policies here. We got them out of that. They're no longer in that. And that's the good news. On the bottom, when I first started doing this about 2 years ago, there were 600 cities that were signed up in ICLEI to implement UN policies, and about 75 of those have gotten out because of pressure from people like you. And that's what we need to do, keep the pressure on. And that's how ICLEI is funded. All funding comes from American cities. So the point I want to make on this is, there's some politicians that say, as soon as you bring up Agenda 21, they'll say, I want to get out of the UN and I want to get rid of the UN. Well, that's fine, but it's not going to have any effect on Agenda 21. None. Because our tax dollars are funding it, not the UN. There's another $1 million grant the EPA gave. And this was back in 1999, and their partner on this was George Soros and his group, the Open Society. This just shows the total funding. The UN is out of it. So, the Agenda 21 really, it defines the UN policies that are transferring our wealth and sovereignty to the UN. Our federal government, the agencies, and our local governments are implementing it at 2 different levels. So it's all over. And the examples of the Agenda 21 that we have here are Florida Forever, Light Rail, and the Endangered Species Act, which is going with the cougar, which is not an endangered species. It is a comprehensive global plan to gain control of the U.S. government, transfer our wealth to other nations, and put America under control of the UN. So what we need to do is stay informed, go to meetings, keep the pressure on the politicians, say no when you can, like light rail, no. This Freedom Advocates is a good website to go to for more information. And keep your politicians informed and educated that you do not want Agenda 21, you do not want equity, you do not want sustainable growth.